Hello, this is Rachel at From Moments to Milestones, and I'm here today with our newest paper pad card kit. We are using the 49 and Market 6x8 paper collection, the Evergreen season. And we are going to create these 7 cards. If you purchase the kit, you will get each card kitted with all the necessary die cuts and sentiments to build each card. There are written instructions for each card with a picture, and then on the very last page I've included all the stamps and dies and supplies I use to create these kits. So we will get started with this first one, and this is "'Tis the Season to be Jolly." So I have a little Spellbinders craft stacks here. I'm going to dump all my goodies in so I do not lose them. And the first things we're going to need here, you have a piece of acetate and you have 3 strips of white cardstock in your card base. So we'll get those out and set the rest aside. And I'm going to take the acetate and tuck it on, so this is the top flap. I'm going to butt it right up against that score line, and I'm going to lift this flap and I'm going to go ahead and place glue. You can use wet glue, you can use score tape, whatever you want to use. We're going to cover it up on the back with those white strips, so whatever adhesive you use will be hidden. I'll line that up again. Press down, and so now that acetate becomes your front panel. And so one of these white strips is going to go on the back. You're going to want to make sure, I'm going to tuck it in there so that when I fold it, I don't want it to catch and not be able to fold. And you may need to trim it down if it doesn't match up perfectly. So that looks good to me. I'm going to trim mine down a little bit. It's just a preference, so I'm really just going to shave off some from both sides. Let's see if that looks better to me. So that looks better. It's still long on this side, but I think I'll just take my scissors and trim that after I get it glued on. So I'm going to go ahead and just put adhesive on that. And I will tuck it in there and then close that down on it. So now when I open it, it's clean on the inside. And I'm just going to take some scissors and trim that off. Perfect. And now these other 2 strips that you have, those are going to go one on the inside and one on the outside of this acetate piece. So we'll do the same thing. Put adhesive on one side. And I'm going to put it on the inside of the card. I'm going to line it up with the bottom of the card and then close down on top. And then I can make necessary trims. Now my acetate's slightly longer, so I can trim that off as well, although it's clear and you can't really see it, so I'm probably going to leave it be. And now I'm going to put this piece on the top. Line it up, and now I have my little see-through card base made. So we will move on to the embellishment. So you have 2 large white snowflakes. One of them that goes on the inside I have colored with a blending brush and some iced spruce distress ink. So let me get my blending brush. And I'm gonna do a real light hand. I don't want it real dark. Just trying to match that light green on the paper. All right, that looks good to me. Wipe off my surface here. Okay. So those are done. Let's go ahead. I kind of forgot about these. Let's put these on. So they will go on those 2 strips, just centered on there. There should be a small white border. So one on the top, one on the bottom. All right, and so now I'm going to take this white snowflake and I'm going to center it in that acetate. So I'm going to put glue on the whole thing, but you want to be mindful about how much glue. I'm going to use wet glue, but just small dots so that you don't have a big mess on the back when you open the card. So this glue does dry clear. So I'm just going to go in with some small dots so it won't ooze out. All right. And I want the points up, so 2 points up, and we're going to center it on the card. I'm going to use my grid mat here to help me get it centered. So right there in the center. And then I'm going to lay a stamp block on top to hold that. And then while I'm waiting, I'm going to go ahead and punch out some of these chads on these snowflakes, the gold ones. Okay. Well, it's still not dry. Now, if you do get glue on your surface, you can either use a little bit, I'm just going to use a little water. This glue is water-based to get it off, but rubbing alcohol would work too. Oh, I've got a dirty mat and I just got some ink from the rag onto my, I'm just going to use my eraser and see if I can get that off. Most of it. So use a clean rag when you do that, or a baby wipe would work as well. I use water-based baby wipes and those would work. All right, so I've got that on there. And then you've got some remaining snowflakes. So we're going to put one in the center. And you've got a larger one here and here. Mindful of the sentiment, so it's going to look something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and stick these down. And then we'll move to the inside. One up here. down here. And then I put on my sentiment with some foam, so I'm going to need a foam strip. See if I have any in here. I do not. Oh, yeah. That's not going to be enough. I do have, you could use whatever kind of foam you want to use, but I have some thin profile, and I'm just going to cut into strips. These come in sheets. And I'm just going to cut a couple strips. And I'm going to put it on the back. Now, I'm going to center it. So I want it right there. And all right, so I'll remove the backing. And then I've got it kind of in the bottom third. So wherever it looks good to you. I kind of like to put it in between the sentiments there, and then I'm just going to trim it off. All right, so our sentiment is on. Oh, I forgot to glue one of the snowflakes, so let's, this one just goes in the front, however you want. I have the points kind of going the same as the points on this large snowflake. And then what we're going to do is we want this large one to be on the inside. And I have the petals offset so that you can see it. If I lined it straight up, you wouldn't really be able to see it. So I want to offset them. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to put glue on it. Okay, so I've got glue on it, and I'm going to get it where it's offset. So you can play around with that, but the way the point was going on this one, I want to turn it so that these two that connect right there are right where that point is. So space it out nice and even, and then what I'm going to do is close my card onto it. And now I have that snowflake right where I want it. And then you should have a couple of these little starburst snowflakes. I think you should have 2 or 3, I'm not sure. Looks like I've got 3. And we're going to space those around. Now it's up to you if you want to kind of put them a certain way. I have 2 here and 1 there. I can see most of both of them. And then you have this large one in the center. So that's what that looks like. And again, I have the points lined up with the points of that. So put some adhesive on it. And there's kind of this star shape that fits right onto. You can put a block over it if you want. And then I'm going to close and make sure I can see I want to see those just like that. Kind of see where they're going to fall. I'm happy with that, so I will go in and place them. Let me find my pickup tool. All right, and that card is completed. For our next card, we have these cute little houses sending love and hugs this Christmas. Get out put all those little pieces in there. For now, I'm gonna get out those pieces and leave my die cut. So first we're gonna put down this red pattern paper. And we're going to center it on our white card base. And then for these two pieces, you should have this square of green, and that will go centered, but first you need to put on your snowbank. And so it's a little bit longer. I have mine just green to green. So what I'm going to do, I'm only putting adhesive on the bottom because I want to tuck in my house later. And you should have a perfect square. Mine's slightly shorter. I think I cut it wrong, so I'm going to use this as a guide. But you're going to put the snowbank on the bottom of the green. It should be easier if you had a perfect square. On the bottom of the green. And then you can trim off the excess. Okay. And then we will put the green and the snowbank in the center of the little white stitched square. And I'm going to go ahead and glue that down to my card. And it's just at the top, centered, top, bottom, left, right. Looks good. And now we need to put together our die cuts. So I'm going to bring my little tray over, and we're going to match up the houses. You have a gold and a white. You're going to glue the white onto the gold for each house. And same thing, if you get glue on that gold paper, you can wipe it up before it dries. You just want to be careful not to put too much so it doesn't ooze. There's the two little houses. So now they each have a red door. And I wanted them to also, the doors, to have gold behind it. If you don't mind that they're just white behind, you can do that. But that's what this little scrap of gold is for in your kit. So I am going to cut a little square and then put it behind the door. So there's one. And I did get a little messy with my glue. Let's see if I can. Okay. So there's one door, and the other one is even smaller. So I'm going to cut just a little piece. Flip it around. Let's see. And there's that piece. You can toss the scrap, and then on this one, if you got, like, because it's rounded, you can just trim off the part you can see. There we go. And so then each house has a debossed mark, so you can tell this slanted roof house goes with the rounded door. So I'm going to glue those on, and they'll fit right inside those marks. Alright, then the other thing I'm going to do is you have this Sending Love and Hugs This Christmas and the Sending with a Banner. This banner is going to go on top of the banner. It's made to go right on top, so I'm going to put a little foam, and then I'm going to put it right on top. Alright, so there's that. Now we're ready to put it together. So you need the slanted roof and this tree, and we're going to tuck those in behind. That's why we left room to be able to tuck. So let's put the tree in first. He goes right at the edge. He does hang off. And I did not use any foam on these. And he goes in front of the tree and slightly tucked, like so. And then this one is going to go on the front, overlapping this one. But I'm going to put my sending down first before I do that. And I want another foam strip or foam behind the banner on sending. This time I'm going to use that thin profile, but there's several layers of paper here, so it won't lay flat if you don't put foam behind it. So I don't have any glue anywhere else, just on that foam, and I'm going to line up the top of the banner with the bottom of the snowbank, and I'm going to center it. That looks good. And then I'm going to put glue on this house and tuck it in behind the word sending. And then we can add glue to it if you want. Like so. Just press that down. And then if you want to secure like I'll probably put some glue behind the D and the G here, but really I kind of like how it floats on top, gives it a shadow so you can see it better. But that finishes off that card. Our next card is Sending Holiday Cheer. Wishing you a holiday season that's merry and bright. Definitely going to use my tray on this one. Lots of little bits in there. So let's go ahead and build up the base of our card. And then so you're going to start with this red, and I just conserved some cardstock here, so we're just going to glue this down. Nobody's going to know we cut out of the center. So that's going to go onto your white card base. And then the wood paper will go on the center of that. And I'll have a thin red border. And then you have these two pieces. So the one with the sentiment will go on top of the red. And none of this is popped up. We are going going to put this onto the center. Now it's not completely centered because we have this down there as well. So it's centered left to right and leave room at the bottom. Oh, it needs to go a little bit more to the left. And this at the bottom. I did not use foam on this. You could if you wanted, but I just glued it straight down. All right, so that's ready. And now we're ready for our little die cut pieces. So we are going to start, I'm gonna get out, I have a little silicone pad here just so I don't get glue all over my glass mat. So we are going to cut this apart and I will get there in a moment. But before that, we are going to put together our poinsettias and our little bellflowers. So you have 2 smaller and 2 large. You can shape these if you want. I do have a, what did I do with my ball stylus? Somewhere. This is a flower shaping kit from McGill, and it comes with the ball stylus, and you get like a mouse pad mat. So that's what I'm going to use. And I'm going to turn them upside down on the mat, and just using a big ball, I'm just going to pounce. Oh, maybe I'm not on camera. Let me see. Here we go. And I'm just going to pounce into, and if you do little circles in the center, it really brings it up. Then you flip it over, press in the middle, and now it's shaped. So it's got a little bit more dimension than it does if you don't. You can skip this step if you want. You do have to be gentle because they have a lot of detail in their embossing. And then I'm going to put glue in the center of one of them. And then we're going to offset the petals. So these, I don't know if there's a right or wrong way. I just kind of play with it till I'm happy. That looks good. Press in the center. Oh, I moved it. Great. All right, so that one's done. I'm going to repeat that same thing for the smaller ones. All right, there's the flowers, and put that away. So let's see, what's our next step? Let's do these little bellflowers. So you have 6 of these dark green. They do look like little upside down bells. And then you have 6 of these little light green pieces, and they are going to go, they fit right on top. Okay. So, whoops. So I'm going to go through and glue on the little red tops. So it fits right on top, just like so. All right, I have all the little light green pieces on, and now you should have 6 of these little red pieces, and they're going to go right on top of the green. Really all you're going to see is that flower center, and it helps to build some dimension. So you're just going to glue the red right on top of the green. And we're going to repeat that step for all 6 bellflowers. Okay, I have all my bellflowers put together, and then I have these two. I forgot to put the flower centers in my poinsettias. So I'm going to do that. You have 2 light green ones, a larger one and a smaller one. Oops. All right, so there's those. And so now we're going to talk about how to cut apart this stem. So the first thing we're going to do is right here is where we want to cut. So I don't know if I can draw some white lines. I'm going to make a cut right there, and then I'm going to cut this off. I don't need that one. And then I'm going to have to, so once I cut this apart, I'm going to have to cut here and here. And I feel like there's one more. That might be it. Let's see. So I'm going to make a cut here, right where those come together. And then because it's still attached, I'm going to need to come in and just snip it there. So I took that piece off, and we don't need this one. I'm going to throw that one away. And then this little bit right here we also don't need. And then this one right here. There are, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here of these tiny dots, and then there's one down here. We don't need this one down here. So I'm going to snip that off as well. And then these bellflowers are going to go on these 5 tiny dots as well as this big dot here. And then your other flowers are going to go here and here. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and put my bellflowers on. And then we have, so the next step then, once we've got this all trimmed, now is to match up. This just gives these leaves texture. So you're just going to go through, and I'm going to start up here at the top and work my way down. I think there's this one right here is not going to get a topper on it because there's only 8, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So we'll see. But I'm going to start up here and work my way down. So I'm just going to put some, we'll do these before we do the bellflowers. And they match, they have a certain way they go, kind of. Some of them are kind of turned to the right and some are kind of turned to the left. So this one goes up here. And that one. And I'm going to hold off on these last 2, and I'm going to place my bellflowers, and then we'll see where we might be able to use these. Because I can't remember, I might cut these 2 off if I remember right, but I'm not 100%. So we'll see. So I'm going to put glue on those 5 little dots and the one big one that's close to them. And we're going to put those on top. All right, so there's your bellflowers, and then those are 2 big flowers are going to go there. So let's bring over our card. I'm going to put this back in my tray and get rid of the silicone mats. All right, so now I want to make sure I'm on the camera here. Okay, So this piece is going to go in here. So yes, I did cut off these two down here as well. We don't need those. So this piece is gonna come just like this. All right, so we've got it set on there, and that is really how it's gonna go. But one thing, so you'll notice I have these two flowers that are over here, and those come from this side. So I'm gonna lift it up here and try to show you where those come from. So right here, there's three. These two right here are connected. There's like a V right there with one flower on it, or one holly leaf. So I'm going to go in and cut, and you're going to end up with this piece right here, and that's the piece that's over there. So this is what it's going to look like, and you've got those flowers going to go there, and then we're going to fill in with these two large holly leaves, and then we have, so this one here, let's see, it's not this one, yes, it's this one. So I'm going to take this one, put it on right there. All right, I'm going to go ahead and glue this down, and then like this big, where this weird awkward thing of stems is, I have one of those large holly leaves there to cover it, so don't worry about that. So I'm going to go ahead, put some glue on the back of these. I didn't pop them up, it's kind of flimsy, and I don't want to cover up my sentiment, so just right there. Okay, I did pop up my largest flower. I'm going to get a foam circle to put on the back of that. And that is going to go on this one. And then the other flower is going to go right there. Perfect. And then these pieces, I think I'm going to have these come this way this time because I don't have it quite cocked the way I did. So yours will all be a little different. And then we're going to fill in with the holly leaves. So this, see which one looks better. Perfect. So we'll tuck that in, or do I like this one better? I think what I'm going to do is do two here and here. I have one tucked back in here. That was from where I accidentally, when I was making this card, I accidentally ripped these two off, and that's why I ended up using them elsewhere. But it worked out. So let's go in and glue those down. I'm going to go right in there and cover up that awkward spot. Okay. And then these pieces I'll just have come out from there like so. And honestly, if none of that made sense, you can totally do it however you want. I might even try and decide. That looks good. And then I was left with one single small leaf, plus you have these other pieces that you cut away if you want to use them without, you could certainly go in and fill in some of those where you can see all the branches if that bothers you, which I think the fuller the better, and if you've got them, why not? So I'm going to use these two, and then it'll cover up where I cut that away and it won't be so obvious. I do have two more, so let's see. I did not do this on the first card, so you don't have to if you don't want to, or you could totally put it together and cut it apart in a different arrangement. I think what I'm gonna do, it feels a little empty to me right in here. what I might do not like how that worked out, but I don't want to cover up the, there we go. That looks better. Put those back in there. I'm not sure if I want to use these or not. I don't think I will. I'm going to toss those. All right. So that oh, you know what I don't have in my kit is, I wonder what I did with those. You should have 3 white snowflakes, and I also use those to fill in some of the blank areas. So I just tuck them in with the leaves. I have one over here. I probably, if I will go and cut them because I feel like it needs it. I'm probably going to tuck one here, one in there, and one right here, but that would finish off that card. Our next card, Noel, joyful blessings for all. I'm going to get out my little craft stacks and tuck all my goodies in there. Have some string. Okay. Let's start with our ornament. So you have this plaid ornament and you should have a gold topper. So the first thing you need to do is, this particular die is just an infinity die from Hero Arts. It doesn't actually come with a topper that's separate, so I just cut a portion of it, and right here where it dips in is kind of where the topper would end. So I'm going to cut from one end to the other. You could put it in your trimmer. I'm just going to cut it straight across. The bottom's going to mostly be covered anyway, so it doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm going to put that on top of the ornament. And then in your kit you should have a smaller piece of string and one large piece. Okay. I'm going to put some foam on the back of my ornament. So you can glue it straight down if you want. All right, so I'm gonna remove the backing. And we're doing this step first because I want to wrap that thread behind this panel before I start putting anything else together. So we've got this small piece of thread, and I'm going to put it through the top. All right, and grab both ends. So it looks like that. You don't need a whole lot. And what we're going to do is get this piece here, and then I'm also going to need a piece of tape, or you can use, I got a little piece of Scotch tape here. You can use washi tape, score tape, however you want to adhere this to the back. I got the tape ready. I've got my ornament, and it is, oh, let's see, it's about 1/4 of an inch from the bottom, 1/8 of an inch, just slightly. It's down and to the right. So I'm going to hold on to that, place my ornament where I want it, which is right there. And then I have this string, and I'm going to kind of pull it kind of taut and wrap it around the back and tape it in place. All right, so now you've got your ornament on there, and the little thread is wrapped around the back. Now this piece can get glued to the green and the green to the white card base. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. All right, and that is going to get centered onto the green. All right, so now we'll set that aside and we're going to build up our die cut. So you should have two pieces that look like this. You've got a solid, oh my gosh, I can't get that out of there. You've got a solid pine cone in the detailed shape. We're going to glue the detail on top of each one. I'm going to bring back over my silicone to keep glue off my glass mat. So, put a little something on that to hold it down. Oops. That's gonna move that glue around with my finger. And glue it on top. The glue will dry clear. So those two are done. Baby wipe, clean my finger off. All right. And so now we have the green outline of Noel. And you should have a gold, and it's going to go right in the center. So the N is separate from the rest. And I'm going to put some glue on my hand. This is such a delicate die cut, and I don't want a bunch of ooze because it's gold. All right, so there's that. And the rest of the word. All right, so we've got the Noel. And then you should have, you know what, I don't, oh, there it is. Okay. You should have a piece that looks like this and then 3 red berries. So we're gonna stack the red berries on top. So I'm just going to put some glue on there. There are holes in it, so it's probably going to ooze out, but that's all right. I probably went a little heavy-handed with the glue. All right. And I just like to put that little highlight all kind of go in the same direction. All right, so there's your little layered berry, and then finally, you have this light green branch, and it has 5 little dots at the end, and that's where we're going to put these little red berries. I think you'll end up with an extra one, so that's fine. I'm getting all kinds of sticky today, goodness. Okay, here we go. But this is why I'm using the silicone mat, because it will dry and clean up really easy. The glass mat does too, but it takes a little bit more elbow grease. Okay, so now I have all my greenery pieces ready to go. I am going to clean my hands up real quick. Okay. All right, so now we're going to layer all these goodies up onto our little ornament. So I know I have something like that. I'm just going to go for it today. Put one in here. I've got one coming off the other way. And you can use the picture on your instructions for a guide. Maybe a little bit more glue right there. Okay. And then we've got this branch, which nope, I'm going to put it right like that. And like you can only see 3. So I had some people in class maybe cut it apart and use both. So let's give that a go. Or you can just tuck the whole branch back there and only see 3, and that's fine too. So there's 3 of those. And then we have the hollies right in here. And I have everything glued down flat. I didn't use any foam except for I think on one of the pine cones. Okay. And this little guy is gonna go back in here. I should have put him on first. I kind of forgot about him. I'm actually going to go behind the ornament. There we go. And then these guys, we got one here and one on top. So we'll glue the bottom one down. And then I'll get some foam for the other one. I can find, got a big foam square here. It's going to go right there. And we've got these 3 berries. You could tuck them in behind, sit them on top. I think I'm going to tuck them in behind this time. Like so. And then if you wanted, you've got these other berries to use. It's cute. I'm kind of thinking I'm going to cut it in half again and put one on each side. So one coming out there, where'd it go? And one over there. It just helps fill it in. There we go. I'm not sure that I like that on the front, so tuck it in behind. There we go. All right. So our little arrangement's done. Then the Noel's going to go on, and the joyful blessings for all, which I do have on foam. Not sure what I did with my foam. I've been using this thin line cutting strips. So that's what we're going to do. Since my ornament's already popped up anyway, you don't need to add a bunch of extra bulk. So that's going to get centered right in there. And then the Noel's going to sit on top. And I did not pop this up. You could if you wanted. All right. That finishes off that card. Actually, it does not finish up that card. I just realized I don't have this bow. So I'm going to show you how I made that bow. So you have this nice big long piece of thread. You can certainly just tie a normal bow and glue it up top, but I am going to use my fingers to make the bow. So I'm going to hold the thread in between my middle finger and thumb at the second knuckle, go around and then in front, around in front, around, and instead of coming in front this time I'm going behind. And then you're going to go through the bottom, and right here you create a loop. You can see it right here. You're creating that loop, and this loop is where you want to take that and go back through. It's hard to do with this skinny thread, but it does work. And then I'm going to pull tight. And slide it off my fingers. And now I have this pretty, and you can pull it tighter if you need to. I'm going to trim off the ends because they fray a little bit, and a good way to stop that is to put some glue on the ends and wipe it with your fingers. That'll keep it from continuing to fray. And then I'm going to put these bows, I'm just going to kind of stretch them out a little, and I'm going to use a glue dot or wet glue and stick it right on top. I think I have a glue dot right here. I'm going to put it right there and stick my bow on top. There you have it. Sweet little bow on top of your ornament. Now that card is finished. Our next card is Warm Christmas Greetings. Now, you probably can't see, I'm going to hold it up close. There's the word warm. I colored my white die cut blue to match. It's over vellum, and you can see it when you're looking at the card in person for the most part. But on this card, I'm just going to use the white because it blends in a little too much for me, and then you can decide what you want to do. I did use Speckled Egg Distress Ink to color that die cut if you choose to do that. But we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get there. So I'll put my little bits up here. So the first thing you're going to do is find this stamped, it's a postage stamp die. And we want the smallest stamp up here in the top left corner. And then we're going to place out our postage stamps kind of the way you see them. They are stamped on there, so, and we're just going to glue them straight down. The only thing I see that I didn't do is stamp the 30 and the 30, which I can come back and do. Yours should all be stamped. I'm just going to go through, whoops, I did not center that. Let me try that again. I think I'm going to use wet glue. A little wiggle room. And they should be centered inside the white stitch marks on the stamps, or as close as you can get. All right, I've got all my pieces down, so I'm going to flip it over. I got another one to poke out, and put some foam on the back. All right, I put foam on the back of that Postage collage die and removed all the backing. We're ready. We're just going to stick it down to the center of our white card base. Our Christmas greetings is going to go across the top, and then you have that. Where did my shadow go? You should have, I have an extra one up here. So you should have this white warm die cut, and I'm going to put glue on the back and stick it onto the vellum shadow or the outline. And same thing here. I'm going to tap some of it off so it doesn't ooze everywhere. And this is going to go here, and now you can see the warm a little bit better, so you can decide what you want to do there. I'm going to put some foam on that banner. Trim some off. So this is going to go in the center of that middle Postage stamp, and then the warm. I'm just going to put glue on the words so it gets hidden, and I'm going to set it right on top. All right. All right. With the exception of me needing to stamp my 30 cents, that card is finished. Our next card, have a wonderful holiday season. And I'll bring back my craft stacks. All those goodies on there. We're going to start. We're going to put down this red and white sweater paper on the right hand side of our white card base that's pre-stamped. Okay, and then you have this black scalloped stitched border. I'll put glue on that, and it's going to go right over that seam. I'm going to use my grid mat to get it straight. There we go. Still doesn't feel straight. Actually, I think I'm just going to butt it up against. There we go. That's how you get it straight. And then I'm going to just trim off the excess. All right, so there's that. And now we have our die cuts to fit together. So really it's just layering up these flowers. Again, you can shape them if you want to. So if I bring this back and gently, I'm going to do the push and pull. So you're going to push down and pull towards the center gently, because these are, they have little detail lines on them. So you can't be too rough. And then we'll flip them over. Little circles in the center, and we're going to layer them up. And then we'll offset the petals. And I like to push down with the stylus. So there's our large flower. And then we have the two little ones that we used in the previous card. So we're going to do those the same way. Push, pull. Flip them over. Press in the centers, little circular motions, and it really pulls those flowers up. And glue in the centers. One. Two. All right, so our flowers are done. I am going to actually shape these large holly leaves as well. So I'm just gonna kind of go around the outside edge. So I'm just running that ball around. I'm going to go run up the center of each one, and then just going to kind of, that's good for me. So now those will have a little bit of texture. Okay, so let's build it up. I think you could use them as a whole, or you can cut them apart. I think I'm going to cut mine apart, but I think you could go either way with it. So let's see. You've got green and green. It's really just arranging it the way you want. Yeah, I'm going to cut one of them off. I'm going to cut this side off, the right side. So I'll have two here. I might even cut a little bit of that off so it's not in my way. And I'm just going to lay it like so. And then my flower will go there. And we've got one of these coming up there, so we'll tuck that in. One of these is coming out here. We're going to tuck that in. Perfect. And then we have another. Like so. And this one as well is on top of that pine branch. Perfect. And then this other holly leaf. And like so. There we go. I'm going to put this one up on a little piece of foam. Just for a little bit more dimension. Okay. And then we have a flower here. And we have another one down in here. So we're just going to glue those down. And down here. Now I used prills. I think they're called power outage prills for my flower centers. You could use glitter, you could use little jewels or rhinestones, whatever you want. Where are these? Are prills. They're little round balls, and the color is power outage. And so to do that, actually, I think I'm going to take that off the foam. I don't like that, because then I can't press in. All right, let's try that one more time. So I'm going to put glue on the back of that and use my stylist to press that down. Okay. So what you do is you just put a dot of glue where you want it. Now, I have mine, I spread my glue out so it wasn't a perfect circle. This time I'm going to do a perfect circle so you can see the difference. It's up to you, whatever look you like. And I'm going to do it over a piece of scratch paper. Okay. I'm just going to scoop it right on. And I like to let it sit for a few minutes. Okay. While that glue, it dries rather quickly. Let it dry pretty good. Kind of get set before I flip it over. All right, I've let it sit for a minute or so. And now, be careful, they're little balls, so they like to roll everywhere. And now you can see I have fun little flower centers. And while it's still wet, if you're not completely happy, you can move them around. But that looks good to me. And I'm going to put the excess back into the jar. All right, that finishes that card. We have one final card to put together, the Merry Wishes to You and Yours. This one's going to go together quick. So we're going to start, you have this beautiful white embossed image. This is the Spellbinders Evergreen 3D embossing folder. Get some good amount of glue on the back of that. And put that on the center of your white card base. I have a large block I'm going to put down so it gets a good secure grab. And while we're waiting, I'm going to put adhesive on the back of the buffalo check. And that is going to go in the center of that black cardstock. All right, and I would put foam on the back of that. All right, that's good. And we're gonna stick this in the center of the card. All right. We've got the Merry Wishes to You and Yours. I glued that straight down. It just goes across the bottom. I'm going to use those lines as a guide. It will slightly hang off. And then you have two white deer die cuts. We're going to layer one on top of the other, just to give it a little stability, a little dimension. All right, so we're going to layer one right on top of the other. All right, and then we're just going to glue that guy right in the center of the buffalo check. Like so, put black over that, get it to lay down. All right, before it dries, I'm just going to take the edge of my tweezers and some of those places where the glue is oozing out. Just going to try to get rid of some of that. It will dry clear, but you'll also still kind of be able to see it on the card, so. All right, so that finishes off that card. All right, guys, that finishes off this card class. I hope you enjoyed these cards. I thought this was a fun paper pack to work with. If you are interested in a kit, there's a few left. You can find us at www.frommomentstomilstones.com, and you can search for our card kits there. This is the 49 in Market Evergreen Season paper pad class. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.